This is one of the world's strangest unsolved mysteries. How do 100 people vanish into thin air, never to be found again? Today we're talking about the lost colony of Roanoke. In 1587, a group of English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. This colony was led by a man called John White. This group included men, women, and children. I keep getting asked about this product. It's the 4-in-1 Glow Maybelline Perfector. I'll link it right here or on my Amazon storefront if you want to check it out. This is amazing under your makeup if you want your skin to glow beautifully. They were hoping to establish a permanent settlement in the New World. However, things did not go according to plan. Within months of their arrival, they were attacked by Native American groups, and they were running very low on supplies. Due to their lack of supplies, the people were begging for John White to go back to England and get more supplies for them. And this is 1587. This was not a short journey. This isn't like leaving your house and realizing you don't have your phone. This is a very long journey. But he went anyways, leaving behind his daughter and her newborn baby. Fun fact, John White's granddaughter, who was obviously his daughter's kid, was the first English-born child in America. He promised them that he'd be back as soon as he could. However, by the time he actually arrived back in Roanoke, it was 3 years later. And this is because England and Spain at the time were in conflict, so he physically could not leave England in his boat. When he finally did return in 1590, he found nothing. It was deserted. There were no signs of where the settlers had gone. The only clue left behind was this carving. The word Croatoan was carved into a post, and the word crow was carved into a tree. To this day, nobody knows what happened to that colony. Over 100 people. But there are many, many theories out there which I will go into in part 2. Some of these theories are quite bizarre, but you won't want to miss them. It'll be up the moment I'm done filming it. I keep getting a lot of questions about what blush I use, and I cannot stress this enough. You need this blush. It has changed my makeup game. It's the Made by Mitchell Blush. It's amazing. Look at that. It's linked down here. Oh my god, I love it. See you in part 2. Part 2 of the lost colony of Roanoke. Before I tell you the theories, I want you to comment down below where you think those 100 people disappeared to. I'll give you a second. Okay, let's talk theories. The first theory is that they all went to an island called Croatoan, which wasn't that far away. And John White initially thought this as well, because it would make sense. It's what they carved in the tree. But both times that John tried to sail to that area, a storm stopped him, and he literally gave up. He gave up after 2 tries. But there was never any sign that any English settlers were in that area, which there would be if 100 people went there. Another theory is that they were killed by a Native American tribe. Like I said before, there was a lot of attacks going on between the Native American groups and them before John White had even left. The only thing that makes this theory not really work is that there was never any sign of conflict and there was never any mass graves found. If over 100 people were massacred somewhere, I think there would be evidence of that. Another theory is that a Native American tribe absorbed the group, so they joined a tribe. The group of settlers were friendly with one of the Native American tribes that were in Croatoan, so maybe they went to that tribe. Once again, there's not loads of evidence to back this theory up, because surely then we would know what happened to them. It would be common knowledge. The only evidence really that backs this up is that they found remnants of items that were from England in that area and from around the same time that those settlers arrived. The only thing that doesn't go with the story though is that some of the other items they found alongside those items were from after the settlers would have already disappeared. Another theory is that they simply settled more inland. Oh my god. This was believed because John White actually had this map and he patched over this area. Some think that perhaps he actually knew where they went and he didn't want people knowing. Who knows why? Because he actually marked off an area on the map and then patched it up and then rewrote over it, but very faintly. Some believe that it was even some sort of like invisible ink, but I'm not going to get too much into that because it's all hearsay. The final theory, and the most bizarre of the theories, is that they were abducted by aliens. The fact that this happened in 1590 basically, and still no one knows what happened, is crazy. So, has your theory changed now that you've heard all of them? I personally think they were absorbed by one of those tribes, and they went to Croatoan like they carved in that wood. Let me know down below what you want me to cover next. I'll see you next time. Bye.
This is pure evil. A young mother has been arrested after brutally killing her only child, a week after she returned from her boyfriend's house, the father of the child. And that is not even the weirdest part of this story, because after she murdered her own child, she went on to eat the liver of the child. And the overall worst part of this story is that she did all this with her neighbors watching and filming from the window. Now, this happened on the 23rd of April in Kenya, and according to the story, 24-year-old Olivia Nasserian had just returned from her boyfriend's place at a different county, and she had been there with him for nearly 8 months. Now, her and her boyfriend had a 2-year-old daughter named Glory, who unfortunately is the victim here. But what is not clear is her relationship with the girl's father, who is also her boyfriend. However, according to Olivia's auntie, after Olivia had stayed with the boyfriend for 8 months, she returned a different person because there was something off about her. On Sunday, the 23rd of April, 2023, was the day everything changed. Click the link on our bio and use our promo code TCD to get instant 150,000 Naira bonus. On Sunday, the 23rd of April, 2023, was the day everything changed. That day, it was said Olivia was the only person at home with the child and with their dog. She began to scream, yell, shout, break furniture, destroy the kitchen utensils, including the glasses, the windows. It was very clear that she was running mad. And the neighbors noticed this. The neighbors heard the commotion coming from the house where Olivia was. And they at first thought it was armed robbers. They thought it was her getting robbed. Probably that was why they may have hesitated a little bit. But when they moved closer to see what was going on, they saw Olivia naked on the floor, sharpening a knife. By this time, Olivia had chased the dog out of the house. Clearly, because I'm sure she knows the dog would maybe had stopped her from doing whatever she was about to do. And she had also locked the doors and locked every entrance into the house. At this point, it was just her and her daughter, Glory. And maybe the spirit that had just possessed her, because what she was about to do next is something even a horror movie cannot portray. I'm not going to be explicit with my details because this is really sensitive. But apparently, she virtually attacked her daughter and her neighbors were watching from the window and they tried to stop her. They kept yelling at her to stop. It was said right before the attack, she spoke in tongues, she sang the alphabet, she tried to even console her daughter, almost giving the feel of some kind of ritual per se. And as if that was not enough, after the entire attack, she went on to cannibalize on the organs of the girl she had just killed. The neighbors had to break into the house, they called the police, and however, and unfortunately, before they could get in, it was already too late for the little girl. Olivia was immediately arrested and she had been by this time charged to court, where people are observing that she is showing no sign of remorse. Although when she had a chance to speak, she claimed that the reason why she did what she did was because she hated herself and that she suffered from low self-esteem. Also adding that she had gone through a lot with her daughter. Look at the link on our bio and use our promo code TCD to get instant 150,000 Naira bonus.
The woman who falsely accused Emmett Till of hitting on her has died. Emmett Till was visiting Mississippi from Chicago in August 1995 when he crossed paths with Carolyn Bryant Donham. And that is a stone cold biatch if I've ever seen one. She told a group of white men that the 14-year-old had whistled at her, and Emmett was later found floating in a river. He had been horrifically beaten, but instead his mother pushed for an open casket funeral so people could see how ugly the face of racism was. The white men arrested were acquitted by an all-white jury, but they later confessed to a magazine. Emmett's punishment did not fit the crime, and in court, Carolyn said that he grabbed her and threatened her physically, but these allegations were later disproven. And in June 2022, an arrest warrant from 1955 was found, but this was never served to Carolyn. And rightfully so, there was public outrage that the Leflore County grand jury declined to indict her. And there's a very clear difference in the way they're being treated. And of course, people are asking, why did she get to live 88 years when Emmett had his life horrifically ended at 14? Emmett's story is now taught in history classes, and there was a movie that came out about it recently.
Neighbors, family, and friends are trying to figure out what led up to a mother of 3 shot and killed here early this morning.
My wife was a good wife. She was a good mom. She was an entrepreneur. She came from nothing to something, you know, and she helped me. I became a barber. I mean, I always wanted to do it, but she pushed me to do it. I held her in my arms. She was alive.
Her husband, who held her in his arms as she was fighting for her life.
The search is on for a gunman who killed a mother of 3 in Boynton Beach. Today, we're hearing from her husband about her tragic final moments. CBS 4 anchor Rick Fulbaum is in the newsroom with the man's heartbreaking story. Rick?
Well, Elliot, Yuri Jenkins says he had to watch his wife die in his arms moments after an armed intruder shot her in the head. Faced with this unspeakable tragedy, he is going to do his best to hold on to the good memories of her.
She was a strong woman, a strong Christian. She kept me level.
Yuri Jenkins is the husband of Makeva Jenkins. He says for the past 24 hours, he keeps replaying the image of his wife's brutal murder in his mind. Yuri then saw the gunman shoot his wife in the head.
Breaking news, a 6-year-old child has been found deceased in a bucket on her mother's front porch. Authorities say the 6-year-old child's father reported her missing around 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday. He stated that when he woke up, the 6-year-old child and his girlfriend were both missing from the home. However, another child that was in the home was found unharmed. Authorities immediately began investigating the home, and they eventually went to the biological mother's home where they found the child in a 10-gallon bucket deceased on the front porch. Authorities were able to obtain surveillance footage from a nearby home where they saw the father's girlfriend toting a wagon with a 10-gallon bucket in the back to the mother's home. Take a look. They immediately issued a search for the woman where they found her at a nearby hospital, and she has been charged with first-degree murder. A cause of death was determined Wednesday afternoon, and they said it is to be strangulation. At this time, they do not believe the biological parents are involved at all. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Bryant dropped his guard. He thought they'd stopped recording.
I don't find that a very funny statement at all, mate, to be quite honest. Should have put that on recording. I'm still recording at this present stage, so that is on recording.
If you think the criminal in the video was stupid, you are absolutely correct. The man in the video is Martin Bryant, who despite being 28 years old during the interrogation, had an IQ of 66, equivalent to that of an 11-year-old. His actions, however, were not as innocent. On April 26, 1996, Bryant would arrive at Port Arthur and carry out the deadliest massacre in modern Australian history, leaving 35 deceased and 23 others injured. Many believe that his actions were for attention and notoriety, inspired by previous massacres. A neighbor of Bryant said that he allegedly told him that he'll do something that would make everyone remember him. Others believe that his motive was to kill a couple, David and Noeline Martin. Bryant blamed the couple and believed that they were the reason for his father's depression, which ended up with him taking his own life. After his capture, he was very curious about the total death count and seemed impressed by the number. Australia's most heinous man was given 35 life sentences and 1,652 years in prison.
Including people in the sea state, 35. And there's people injured. Many? Well, approximately 20. What, seriously or not?
I spent about half the day in the living room watching TV with him until he took me back upstairs and decided that he was ready to do some more damage. He takes me upstairs, puts me on his bed again. This time he grabs my left ankle and twists it around until it breaks. He kept twisting and twisting. The skin looked like a twisted rubber band. My feet were backwards. I did fight back. You know, I'd hit him, and I'd hit him in the back of the head. I'd hit him in his back, because he'd have his back to me while he was doing this, sitting on top of me. And it'd just make him madder. And he'd put a pillow over my face, or he'd tell me to hold it there, not to yell, not to fight back, or he'd break my neck or break my back. I believed him 100%. He'd already broken both my ankles and my thigh bone. I had no reason not to believe him. I never cried the whole time. I never let him know how scared I was or nothing like that. He would come in and, complain about the car not starting, and then that's when it seemed like he'd want to do damage again. He'd put leg braces on me for people with broken legs and stuff like that and try to make me walk. And at one point, we were standing over his stairs on this board, and either he kicked it out or it just gave way, but I went all the way down a flight of stairs and landed on my back. Well, at this point, I'm starting to swell up, and it's extremely painful, almost unbearable. My right ankle was swelled pretty big. It was about the size of a softball, and my thigh was about the size of a basketball in black and blue. Heard the door shut, I heard a car leave, so I knew he was gone, and this was my chance to make a break for it. So I crawled to his top of his stairs, and I threw myself down there head first. It was the only way to go. I couldn't do it any other way. And when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I had passed out for a little while. I tried crawling through the living room, and I'd passed out. I don't know how many times I passed out and woke up. I didn't even make it to the kitchen when he came home. I was still in the living room. And he came walking in the living room and seen me laying there, and he was totally surprised. He drugged me upstairs after that and would twist my ankles around some more, jump on me, just took all of his anger out on me. They had to be just perfect. He'd move them around so all the seams were the same and everything was lined up. They were brand new white socks, and he had hundreds of pairs of them. He would settle down after he'd put the socks on. I guess that was his way of saying he's done for now. He's not gonna hurt me no more for a little while. At that point, he drags me downstairs, puts me back on the couch, and we watched a couple movies. I just wanted to get out of there and be with my family. That's all I could think about was my family. That's what kept me going. Sunday morning when I woke up, my legs looked like they weren't even human legs. They were bruised and yellow and swelled. The pain was excruciating. It was... I can't explain the pain. It was my brother's birthday that day. I really wanted to be there. And it seemed like every couple hours is when he'd want to inflict damage. I'm upstairs laying on his bedroom floor, and he's running and jumping on me with his knees over and over and over again.
Got you under my skin.